Okay, so that big question. Is Instagram wrecking our mental health? It's everywhere, right? Strong feelings, lots of debate.
Absolutely. And today, we're really trying to, cut through all that noise.
Exactly. We want to give you a properly informed view.
That's the plan. So for this deep dive, we've gathered a whole stack of different sources. We're talking major U.S. studies, Meta's own internal research, even things like personal stories from Reddit threads, academic papers,
Right, the whole spectrum.
to really unpack this thing for you.
Our goal here is simple. Pull out the key takeaways, maybe the surprising bits, so you can leave feeling genuinely clued in.
Yeah. We'll look at the evidence for harm, definitely,
Right.
but also the benefits, which sometimes get missed.
And crucially, what you can actually do about it. How to navigate this whole thing. Okay, let's get into it.
Right. So starting with the evidence of harm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's some pretty robust research showing clear links, particularly to depression and anxiety. There was this big U.S. study, for instance. They followed, I think, 12,000 kids, age 9 or 10, over 3 years.
Wow, that's a big cohort.
It is. And they found that more screen time actually predicted 35% more depressive symptoms down the line.
35%. That's significant.
It really is. And what's striking, what really stood out from that study, was their conclusion. They argued that social media could cause depression, not just, reflect kids who are already feeling down.
That's a huge claim, isn't it? Causation, not just correlation. That really shifts the focus towards the platform itself.
Exactly.
But is that just a young kid thing, or do we see similar stuff maybe with older groups like college students? Are there different factors there?
That's a great question. And yes, we do see it extend. Studies looking at college students, they found that those who reported being, addicted to Instagram also had lower life satisfaction
Okay.
and higher levels of depression and just sort of general negative feelings. This effect was especially strong for students who already had lower resilience or maybe lower self-esteem to begin with.
Ah, so it's like an amplifier. If you're already vulnerable, it makes it worse.
It suggests that, yeah, the platform seems to exacerbate those existing vulnerabilities for some people.
You know, what strikes me isn't just the obviously perfect curated images we see. It's how that subtly changes our own baseline, right?
Explain that a bit more.
Well, it's not just thinking, oh, I don't look like that model. It's more like your own normal life starts feeling a bit drab or inadequate in comparison. It's this constant, maybe low-level hum of not measuring up.
That's a really insightful way to put it. And we see that reflected in the research, too. Studies from India, studies globally, they tie heavy Instagram use directly to things like body dissatisfaction, low self-esteem.
And that FOMO thing, fear of missing out.
Exactly, that, too. It's all connected.
And didn't Meta's own internal research show something pretty stark about this back in 2021?
Oh, absolutely. That internal data was, quite revealing. This wasn't external critics. This was their data. It showed 32% of teen girls said Instagram made them feel worse about their bodies.
A third of them. Wow.
Yeah. And 70%, 70% of teen girls reported feeling negative social comparison, specifically on Instagram.
70%. Those numbers are just huge. Young people directly saying, this platform makes me feel bad.
Oof. It's hard to ignore numbers like that,
Yeah.
especially when they come from inside the company.
Which brings us to another angle, right? It's not just what we see, but how the platform itself is designed.
Precisely.
I read about some Danish researchers who found the algorithm wasn't just failing to filter out self-harm content,
Right, which is bad enough.
but it was actually promoting connections within harmful networks. That's disturbing.
It really is. It points to the potential for algorithmic harm.
And it makes you think about those features we all use, or, experience. The infinite scroll, the likes, the constant notifications, stories disappearing, even the filters.
They're all part of it.
How many times have you just meant to check one thing and suddenly an hour is gone, just sucked into the scroll?
Happens all the time. And that's not accidental. If you step back, you see that these features, infinite scroll, likes, notifications, stories, filters, they're all meticulously engineered.
Engineered for what, though?
To maximize engagement, to keep you on the platform longer, interacting more.
And sometimes it seems that comes at the expense of our emotional well-being.
That appears to be the trade-off, yes.
Okay, so the evidence for harm, especially around comparison, body image, and the addictive design, it seems pretty strong. But let's try and get a balanced picture here. It can't all be bad, surely. Instagram isn't just universal poison, right?
No, definitely not. And that's a really crucial point to make. While the harms are significant and well documented, for many, many users, Instagram offers something really valuable.
Like what?
Well, Think about community support, finding your people, you know. Creative expression is huge, too. A place to share your art, your writing, whatever it is.
Yeah, I get that. Finding a tribe online.
Exactly. And a sense of belonging. This can be incredibly powerful, especially for marginalized groups. Think about LGBTQ youth, for example.
Right?
For some, Instagram might be one of the few places they find genuine acceptance, connection, people who understand them. That can be literally life-changing, helping with self-acceptance, reducing that awful sense of isolation.
That's a really important counterpoint. The platform as a haven, almost.
It can be, for some. And, not all studies find a massive negative impact across the board. There was one from Curtin University, for example.
What did that find?
It found essentially minimal correlation between general social media use and mental health issues.
Minimal, so no link.
Well, it highlights the complexity, I think. Doesn't necessarily mean it's safe for everyone, always. But it does show it's not a simple case of use Instagram, get depressed. It's much more nuanced than that.
Okay, so it's complicated. It depends on the person, maybe how they use it.
Exactly. Which is also reflected when you look at individual experiences. People share stories online, on places like Reddit, all the time.
What kinds of things do they say?
You see comments like, I deleted the app, my mental health feels so much better now, or, Instagram just made my anxiety worse and worse over time, things like that.
So personal anecdotes seem to back up the idea that stepping away helps.
They often do.
Yeah.
These individual stories really align with the broader observation that taking breaks, or even just uninstalling the app for a bit, frequently leads to people reporting improvements in their well-being.
Right. The lived experience matches some of the data. Okay, so we have the research, we have individual stories. How does Meta, the company behind Instagram, actually respond to all this officially?
Well, publicly, the stance from CEO Mark Zuckerberg has generally been that the research shows, and I'm quoting loosely here, no clear causal link between social media use and harm to mental health.
No clear causal link. That sounds cautious.
It does. But then you contrast that with those internal leaks we mentioned earlier.
Right, the ones showing teen girls blaming Instagram.
Exactly. Those leaks revealed that teens themselves frequently do blame Instagram for making their anxiety worse. That's a pretty stark contrast to the official public line.
It definitely raises questions about corporate responsibility, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it's not just questions anymore. There are real-world consequences unfolding. Several U.S. states have actually launched lawsuits against Meta.
Lawsuits? On what grounds?
Claiming that Instagram was designed deliberately to be addictive and unhealthy, especially for young people.
Designed to be addictive. That's a serious accusation, suggesting intent beyond just engagement.
A very serious legal challenge, yeah. It frames the design choices as potentially harmful actions, not just neutral business decisions.
Okay, so after looking at all this, the studies, the internal data, the personal stories, the company response, the lawsuits, where do we land? What's the final take here?
Well, synthesizing it all, yes, there is substantial evidence suggesting Instagram can harm mental health. No doubt about that.
Particularly through those channels we talked about, social comparison, body image pressure.
Exactly. And also through the addictive design features, the algorithm, the endless notifications, and just the sheer exposure to potentially harmful content sometimes.
Right.
But, as we also discussed, it's clearly not a universal poison. That's just as important to state. Many users genuinely find support, community, and a space for expression there.
So the outcome really depends.
It really seems to vary widely. It depends on the individual, their own vulnerabilities, maybe their age. It depends on how they use the platform, their usage patterns, and it depends on their offline life, their context.
So the platform itself isn't, like, inherently evil.
Probably not inherently destructive, no. But its current design and the content it often promotes can exacerbate existing issues. Things like anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, even poor sleep.
Especially, it seems, for teens and maybe other vulnerable users.
That appears to be where the risks are highest, yes.
Okay. Which brings us, I think, to the most useful part for everyone listening. Given all this, what can you actually do? How can you use Instagram or platforms like it more safely, more healthfully?
Right. This is where we can get really practical. Because there are things you can do.
Okay, let's hear them. This is where it gets immediately useful for people. Tip number 1.
Limit your usage. Seriously. Use the screen time tools built into your phone. Set timers.
Why is that so important?
Because the research is pretty consistent. Excessive time scrolling the feed often correlates directly with worse anxiety and depression symptoms. So, less time scrolling can genuinely mean feeling better.
Makes sense. What else?
Turn off the like counts. You could do that now
Yeah.
and turn off most notifications.
Ah, the notifications, they really pull you in.
They do. Turning them off, or at least limiting them, reduces that constant distraction. And hiding like counts can take the edge off the social comparison aspect.
Good one. Anything about what you follow?
Absolutely. Be intentional about curating your feed. Actively follow accounts and communities that make you feel good. Maybe body positivity accounts, mental health advocates, hobbies you enjoy.
So focus on connection over comparison.
Exactly. Make your feed a place that supports you, rather than one that makes you feel inadequate.
What about offline habits? Do they matter?
Hugely. Encourage device-free time, especially routines around bedtime.
Huh?
Put the phone away an hour before sleep.
Sleep hygiene, right.
Yes. Because losing sleep due to that late-night endless scrolling, that's a known trigger for spiking distress and anxiety levels. Good sleep is fundamental.
Okay, that's crucial. One more.
Consider taking breaks, like proper breaks. A week off, maybe even just a weekend detox.
Does that actually help?
Many users report feeling significantly better, clearer head, improved mood after taking even short pauses from the platform. It gives you perspective.
So it's about being mindful and intentional.
That's the key takeaway, I think. If you use it mindfully, if you're intentional, setting those boundaries, curating your feed, taking breaks, Instagram can still offer value. It doesn't have to negatively impact your mental health.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what does it all mean for you listening right now? It seems clear Instagram's impact isn't black or white. It's a tool.
A powerful tool, yeah. With potential for harm, definitely, but also potential for good.
And it really depends on how it's designed by the companies.
And, crucially, how we choose to engage with it.
So here's a thought to leave you with. Given that these platforms are deliberately designed to maximize our engagement, maybe sometimes at a cost, what responsibility do we as users have? Should we be more active in shaping our own digital spaces, setting those boundaries firmly, rather than just sort of reacting to whatever the algorithm throws at us next?
That's a really important question for all of us to consider. It's about agency in our digital lives.
So think about your own relationship with Instagram or similar apps. What stood out to you from this deep dive?
Maybe try experimenting with some of those tips. See what difference it makes for you. Be your own researcher, in a way.